Hey guys, Rob Davis, One Blue Robot. I am here in San Antonio, Texas. I am meeting with Robert Ottenreith. That is the coolest name. I had to ask him 4 times how to pronounce it correctly. He is the owner of Nels Associates Consulting. And I'm gonna tell you, he's a smart guy, way smarter than I am. Tell me about Nels. Tell me about some of your history. Robert, let's just throw some of that out and I'll interrupt you if I need.
Sure, absolutely. I spent about 10 years in telecommunications as a leader in that organization and multiple organizations, and then was fortunate enough to come across a small organization that was was a startup at the time in 2005 named Rackspace. And so I started with Rackspace in 2005 as an ops analyst and quickly moved up through the ranks, became close with the CEO and the chairman of the board, and was given lots of opportunities over an 8-year span, 13 different opportunities to really help expand the growth within Rackspace.
Accolades you get are not just hyperbole. I mean, they're really outlining the successes and accomplishments, and that's not always the case. A lot of times people are, oh, my friend, yeah, he's the best. But yours are, I don't know how we're going to live without this guy.
Yeah, so 4 years ago, I started Nels Consulting after spending quite a bit of time in the hosting industry, and I really thought that there was an opportunity to really bring some value to clients in a way that is a little bit different than most consulting practices. So most consulting practices will look to provide a lot of theory and a lot of documentation, but usually not a whole lot of integration. And so we found ways of being able to not only help them find money that they didn't know they had through programs that we've created, that they can then put towards growth projects. And then we come in and show frameworks and opportunities of being able to drive those projects to fruition and to show the value and the expectation that they had on those projects. So a lot of our clients have said, man, this is a great approach. I mean, you found us money that we didn't know we had and you helped us with that. You then ran our programs and saw them through to the value and the expectations that we had. And then more importantly, you've trained us a bench before you walked out, so that there's an opportunity for us to continue to keep things moving. So the approach has been very well received.
Awesome. There are 3 things I want you to cover in all of that. Number 1 is I want you to cover, what kind of client you typically work with. So if someone's saying, wow, this guy Robert is really sharp, I want to work with him, but am I the right kind of client company? What is that client company?
Yeah, usually what we see, it doesn't matter if they're private or public, but somewhere between $100 million and about $500 million in revenue. Companies that are growing in a hyper-growth type mode, so sales and marketing have usually done very well, and sometimes they need some help with top line, but sales and marketing are moving. But they look and say, geez, our operations, I mean, we've got to keep up and be able to deliver to the customers the expectation that we're providing to them. The thing I see too is a lot of clients have had, as an example, legacy platforms that they're on to begin with. They started their company 10, 12 years ago, and now they're getting to the point where, wow, we cannot continue to grow in the infrastructure that we have built.
Right.
And so what we do is help them, make the right decisions, not only on the infrastructure, but as I said, clients that we've helped find money for have really said, hey, we want to change out these platforms and get our delivery much better. Can you help us make that happen? And geez, where do we start to even do that? And so we're able to come in and not only say, here's how you do it, and here's how we're going to start it, but here's how we're going to make sure that becomes a reality for you.
I first thought when you said you bring money, you find money, the typical mindset would be, okay, well, you're going to get investors for growth in a company to be able to, but you're saying essentially is, I'll put it in my lay terms, you're kind of trimming fat in places and saying, look, we can take this fat and go flavor another area very well, and it's not out of pocket spend for you. We've just discovered monies that are being misused or not used or whatever, and you reappropriate and maximize that. Is that fair? Tell me about that.
That's absolutely fair, sure. So what we found was most clients have really 2 buckets. The first is their labor spend, and we don't want to touch the labor spend. What we look at is saying, hey, there's a third-party spend there that they utilize to do everything from partners that go to market with them on a strategic basis, all the way down to individuals that sell them commodities, and maybe it's hot dogs in their lunchroom. And so what we found is that there's an opportunity for us to go in and obtain the data. And what's funny is lots of folks will say, oh geez, our data's not that good. And the real secret sauce or the secret there to everybody is most people's data's not good.
Right.
So it's a situation for us to be able to extract everything from their payables, inventory, their credit card statements, those type of things. And then we look and categorize that spend, and then we tier out the vendors. And we say, those that are strategic we'll deal with differently than folks who are in a commodity base. Those that are in commodity, we kind of draw a line and we say, okay, from this part back in that tiering, we're going to go out and do some rapid repricing. So we're going to write them a letter, and we're going to reach out to them and let them know, hey, we've been excited to do business with you. We continue to be excited to do business with you. We're in growth mode, and opportunities are vast for us, and we're looking to reappropriate the way that we allocate our funds. And so we're looking for a 10 to 20% discount on your next invoice for you to help us get to where we need to be so we can continue to do business with you. You know, we really are serious about taking the next step into growing this business. Let's not go out and try to find funding for it. Let's look internally and see what we can come up with ourselves. And what we find is usually about 5 to 20% aggregate total spend is shaken out for us to be able to apply to growth projects.
Give me an example then of, now you have the money, now you've started to really look at this, how you attack and solve the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I think the big thing that we look at is there's a lot of frameworks that we want to put in place, and we first start with prioritization. Right? It's like, what are we going to do? So now that you have this money that you found, it's important to apply it in the appropriate ways. So in working with leadership, we go through prioritization exercises that we've created, and literally sit down and find where's the best place to go. So let's use your example of legacy platform. We had a client that said, hey, you know, we just can't continue to run our business off of what we have. It's 12 years old, it's monolithic, it doesn't get us where we need to be. The big question that they had on the table was, but we never really run book this thing. I mean, look, we're working and we're growing the business. We're not working on platforms. So how do we get to the point of understanding what we have to then get it to some place that can get, you know, be much better than what it is today? And so we came in and actually did run books for them and actually went through the process of understanding their application. So we really immerse ourselves in the value stream of the client and understand their business, understand what it takes to make things change. And then from there, we took that and looked at finding another vendor or partner with them to spend some of that money to really do a refactoring of end-to-end of that platform. And then we run that program for them. So it's not like, here's the money and we just introduced you to somebody. I hope that works for you. You know, we're fully engaged in not only finding the vendor, but fully engaged in then running that program, because after immersing ourselves in the organization, we now know the culture, we know what's important, we know what they're looking to do with their client base, and it helps us to be able to get that end result that they're looking for. That's why the approaches work so well. It's we'll find you the money, we'll help you make sure that this goes through and gives you the value that you expected. But as we leave, we want to make sure that this team can continue to do what they're doing. What we've found, which is really cool, is that our clients then say to us, hey, you know, can you do this? And can you do this? So 90-day projects or 6-month projects all of a sudden turn into a year or 2 years, and it's not that same project. It's, hey, what's next? And so we get a lot of what's next. I think what we found also too is it's critical to keep it simple. It really is. And so if I'm going to produce documentation that's in a phone book size and hand that to your folks, they're going to look at it and say, this is great. Next time I need a fireplace starter, that's where it's going. What we look at is simple formulas, simple 1-pager, 2-pagers, and really talk a lot about the importance of really just being concise. And the concise and consistency piece of what we're teaching is what's really translated.
So Robert, give me something maybe we haven't covered that you feel like needs to be said or kind of needs to be understood for people that are looking to hire you as a consultant.
I would say we're really practical. I mean, we're down to earth. We're a down to earth practice. So when we come in, we're not going to be suit and ties and that type of thing. I mean, if it calls for it, we will. But the bottom line is we're going to take the jackets off and roll up our sleeves. And I think a lot of times when clients look towards consultants to help them, they're really expecting something different, and we are really that difference in a great way. We understand the sales and marketing side of the business also, right? So if there's opportunities for us in operations to be able to bring something that will raise top line, then we're absolutely going there.
Stay tuned for a lot of stuff coming. We'll have he'll have a new website up, we'll have social media stuff. We're going to get him to deliver a lot of very valuable information that you're going to find very practical. I may drag a little more out of him than he wants to have drug out. If you need to reach him, stay tuned. We'll be posting everywhere the web address and all the social media stuff. I'm gonna tell you, he's a pretty booked guy. He's got a lot going on, and so to get into his his calendar may be a little bit tough, but you're going to want to get into his calendar. Fair enough to say?
That's a fair statement. We're very blessed to be where we are, and we look forward to working with other clients and more clients as we go.
Awesome, guys. So stay tuned for more to come. A lot coming from this guy, Robert. It has been great, and we're going to have a long relationship here, and we're going to do some great things for you. And stay tuned for more coming.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob.
All right. We always do a fist bump at the end.